I'm so happy today to have the mayor of Molalla, Scott Kaiser.
Yes,
Saying
sir.
your name right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks so much for coming, Scott.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I always wanted to I asked people, like, I know you're not that far away, but like, do you have any reaction or whatever driving into Portland today? Was it like normal? Did you see anything crazy or?
I didn't see anything crazy today. I actually grew up down the street from here.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I grew up in down in Southeast, off 29th and Powell. Spent my first 2 years of high school at Cleveland High School.
Oh,
So,
wow, wow.
I fond memories of Portland. It's not quite the same as it used to be,
Yeah.
but no, spent many years here and came back as an adult. Lived in downtown for a few years, and then decided to start trekking out towards Clackamas County.
Okay. That's funny. I have an odd number of people that this neighborhood specifically, people are like, yeah, I used to grow up here or whatever. And so that's cool. It's always good to meet fellow neighbors. Yeah, I wanted to start just with because it's topical and all the ODOT stuff that's going through the legislature. We were talking about it a second ago, and I was learning stuff already. But yeah, I'm just curious your take on it. Like I talked a lot about in the first session how that was just kind of imploded, and there's huge opposition against it from the public and everybody. And it's just amazing with a supermajority, the Democrats couldn't push it through, and now it's kind of happening again.
Right.
And yesterday, I was one of those people. I was just watching on the computer, but it was like they just keep pushing this testimony back. And but I'm curious if you explain to people kind of what happened yesterday, and because that was the first day of the session, right?
Right.
Or it was supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So it started off with the Senate coming in and they have to initiate rules on how they're going to operate. They couldn't get that passed. They did not have a constitutional vote. And then we waited all day for the first reading in the House. And we weren't there. We're not inside, but it's assumed that they could not get a quorum. Um, Everything I saw, we could see all the Republican Party there, ready for quorum. We weren't seeing the Democrats. It's assumed, so it's all we can go by. They kept pushing off the times, pushing off the times. A lot of us were watching, and so finally, about 8:30 last night, they got everybody together and did a first reading, gavelled out, and went home. Which, as everybody knows, when we're recording this, this is a holiday weekend. Friday night at 8:30. It's intentional games. It's political
Okay.
theater.
Okay.
And so what's happening now is we're as we're recording this tomorrow, they're going to have their first committee meeting. We're trying to get people, as many as we can, to submit testimony and submit it, even if you're for it, submit testimony. Tell people why. Maybe we're all missing something, but currently it's not a good looking bill for anybody in this state. There's just way too much bailout for the Portland local area between TriMet, PBOT, that I don't believe people in Southern Oregon, Eastern Oregon, Central Oregon should have to pay for because they don't get those services and they don't travel over here.
Yeah. No, that's I have so many questions just around because I heard that there was a lot of conversation about a lot of this is focused on transit, and that's kind of what you're talking about with like the metro area. And I saw some people posting about this isn't actually going to go to like fix the roads, which a lot of people want. But I'm curious too, like when you say it's kind of gamesmanship, is the point of that to kind of just push this down the road
Correct.
later in the week kind of thing, or just stifle testimony?
Stifle testimony, stifle the public from being there publicly. Um, you know,
Because it looks, it would affect them more if there are more people in public or in person.
Correct. The scheduling of this was more political theater, scheduling it to start the Friday of Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
You know, the public plans big holidays
Most
with their
people are
families before
gone.
they go
Yeah.
back to school.
Yeah.
You have our state legislature. I'm sure they had vacations and time planned to do something with their families. So yeah, it was very, very odd the governor would schedule it for this weekend to start, when obviously as much work as they got done yesterday, they probably could have just started this next Tuesday,
Yeah. That's what it seems like. So
Exactly.
the whole quorum thing was by design, or okay.
Correct.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
The state asked the governor's office and the Democrats asked that a minimum of 4 Republicans would be there for the House, and so they did show up. Whether as constituents we agree or not, but they did show up in good faith and then sat around all day waiting for the
Yeah.
gamesmanship to stop before they could get their work done.
Yeah, and actually, I'm pretty sure I like knew a couple people who were waiting yesterday, which is just super disappointing. But um, I wanted to before we were talking earlier about kind of you were saying this should go to a referendum or like a vote for the people, which I think is a good idea. But I wanted to also talk about because you have been pretty vocal about like the ODOT problems, and
Correct.
I have too. Like I talk all the time about the $1 billion that disappeared, and
Correct.
I know you had called for an audit, right, at some
Correct.
point.
Yep.
But I just wanted to say, yeah, like tell people about why it's so important that like what's wrong with ODOT. It
Right.
just seems to me it's pretty apparent, but maybe there's some people who don't know.
Well, as cities, we get a budget we get a dollar amount every year we have to work within. We don't have state and electeds getting us more money if we spend too much. Okay. So we have to pinch every penny to get everything to go as far as we can. And as a city, as far as Molalla goes, we are very fiscally conservative. We do things, of course, legally to make those dollars go farther. One of the second biggest expenses in any city is road maintenance. And so we've come up with things that are outside of the box that make those dollars go farther. Such as our city has, it's a paving contract. So we put out for bid all the paving that needs to be done in the city, from road maintenance to, if a pipe breaks and having to replace the asphalt on that, everything, and put it out to bid with paving contractors and said, hey, give us your best bid on this. This bid's going to last for 5 years.
Mm,
So the bids come back, the best bid we assign to a company. So now that company handles all of our asphalt work. Now, where it saves our city money is those prices are set. So it's written in the contract, say it costs X amount of dollars for this many feet of paving. Whereas most cities, they come to a paving contractor, they put it out for bid, say in the springtime. Well, when that company bids, those bids are going to be higher because you're going into their busiest time of the year.
mm.
We put this out for bid in the winter when they're all wanting work.
Oh yeah,
And so the
makes sense.
prices we're getting, say, and I don't know the exact numbers, but we're say getting an extra 500 feet of paving maintenance than we were before.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. You're getting the most competitive bid because they're kind of out of work and seasonally. Yeah.
Exactly. And the other place where we save money is every time a bid has to go out, our city staff has hours of paperwork they have to do to present it to the council so we can say, yes, put it out for bid. Then they have to advertise it. They have to collect the bids. They have to go through all the insurance. Now, if we have, say, 3 broken pipes in our city, or we have 2 road maintenance projects in our city, and those have to go out to bid every single time, you have countless hours that your staff is losing by doing each of these processes.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we put it out for bid once. Now, boom, they need paving. They call the company and say, hey, we need you to pave from A to B and get it done. It doesn't have to come back to the council and it doesn't have to go out for bid.
Mm.
So we're saving our staff time also, along with money. And that's kind of some of the outside of the box things that as a city we try to come up with to save money, because we can't just, like I said, get a bill in Salem that gives us more money because we lost $1 billion or overspent. Abernathy Bridge, I mean, it's already overspent by 800 million,
Mm.
and the project's halfway done.
Yeah.
You have the interstate bridge. How many millions, maybe billions of dollars have been wasted on the interstate bridge? And they don't even have a blueprint to say, this is what we're building.
Yeah.
And so we really try to make sure every dollar gets stretched as far as it can, and every project we do is the best value for the consumer.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And also like just living here in Portland, it seems like that's super important to like deliver those services to your constituents for sure. Like so
Right.
it's not interrupted by these processes and stuff. Um, I wanted to also talk about how, we were talking earlier about like how some, and I've seen people post about how some of this money was, is supposed to be earmarked for road fixes and
Correct.
paving and stuff, but it seems like that's not the case the
Nope.
way the bill's written.
Right.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. This is basically a big band-aid they say, to keep ODOT staff employed. It's to keep the status quo going forward.
Yeah.
And then they're going to come back.
A layoff stopgap. Yeah.
Exactly. Perfectly said. And then they're going to come back and ask for more. Well, the people in my city for the last 25 years have been paying the gas tax. They've been paying their taxes. And it's no joke. If you drive into my city, we have Highway 211, which is our main street that comes right through our city. If you come in from Woodburn, as soon as you get to Highway 213, which is the start of our city, that stretch all the way to the other end of city limits hasn't been repaved in 25 years.
Oh man.
And so I have a real issue with ODOT coming back and saying, hey, we need more money,
Right.
but we're not going to fix your road. What's the benefit in my constituents saying, yes, we're going to give you more money? And there's no benefit to what's going on in our city.
Yeah. Because even if you, stop those layoffs, it's not going to pave that road,
No, exactly.
right?
And I have gone to ODOT and I've said, hey, uh, let's look at the city taking over this stretch of highway. We'll become responsible.
Right, right.
But there's a financial outcome to that. I need X amount of dollars because I literally will have to rebuild that road from the base rock to the asphalt. There's section of it that doesn't have any storm drainage through it. And then there's a small bridge, not like your Abernathy. It's just kind of
Like
a
a
viaduct bridge
footbridge or
over a creek
okay.
that would need to be replaced. And so I said, our estimates are roughly 12 and a half to 13 million
Yeah.
to redo this entire. So it's 100% when we take it over. And ODOT came back and said, first off, they offered, I want to say 2.5 million and said,
Wow.
go find it somewhere, the rest somewhere else. And then they gave us an application that would have taken roughly 80 hours of my staff's time. And even if the staff does do the application, there's nothing guaranteeing that ODOT's going to grant it to us.
Hmm.
So why go to the state and ask for more money if we don't have any guarantee we're going to get it?
Mm-hmm.
And then there were some questions in it that didn't pertain to the application. And they were questions regarding DEI,
Mm.
Such questions as, us taking over this highway, what improvements will it have toward DEI in your city?
Is it kind of the they want your contractors or whoever's doing that to fit a certain criteria, the kind of thing,
It
or
wasn't that. It was very loose-ended questions on how us taking over the highway, it would better DEI in our
huh,
city.
huh.
And I don't.
It seems pretty irrelevant to yeah.
Exactly. And DEI is a very controversial subject in our federal government. And, as a city, we try to navigate between the state and the federal government because we do ask both for money.
Right.
And so I tend to try to stay away from those type of questions and overcommitting. And, I answer that question and I lose state funding, say for our water treatment facility that our
Mm.
congresswoman's helping us try to get, so it's like,
It's hard to navigate for sure.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's not, what we do is not just an easy process.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking a couple things, one thing about that is like I know here in Portland, one of the challenges with that is basically every contract with the city or the county, like I was just saying, has to fit a certain criteria of people working on it.
Right.
And whether you agree or disagree with that, what it did to the area is like it really just slows everything down
Exactly.
because even if you can fulfill those requirements, it just takes so much longer to get stuff moving
Right.
and it's a lot of times incredibly expensive, way more expensive than it would be.
Exactly.
But the other thing I was thinking was like, so does it just seem, especially from your community, that ODOT just has no focus on like medium cities, small cities? It's all just Portland Metro and
Correct. And
yeah.
there's a term for that, rural.
Yeah, all the rural communities.
Correct.
Yeah.
ODOT's main focus is your Portland, your Salems, your Eugenes, Bend,
Yeah.
you know, the highways, the interstates, and yeah, that's and it makes it very very hard. And then ODOT's other focus is TriMet, you
Yeah.
know, and I don't know where, besides both factions being a huge money draw and loss for the state, I don't see where the mix is. You know, I don't understand why TriMet is able to get so much bailout. A few weeks ago or a month or so ago, we had a conference up on Mount Hood, and it's an elected from every city in Clackamas County, and then our Clackamas County commissioners were there, and then rural transit providers were there.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we had, you know, the head of SMART, which is Wilsonville's Transit, Canby Area Transit, SMART, which is Sandy's, you know, they were all there and they're talking about this ODOT package and, you know, that transit needed funding. And so I asked one of the directors of the smaller rural transits, I said, are your budgets funded? I mean, are you having budget issues right now? And he hemmed hawed around a little bit and finally came out, well, no. And said, okay, then why is this ODOT package coming out so much emphasis on transit?
Mm.
You know, why is it we need transit dollars on top of bailing out ODOT? And he couldn't answer that question. Well, shortly after that, there was a gentleman sitting at our table that walked away. And so I asked someone else, I was like, who was that? And he goes, he works for TriMet. And I was like, oops. But you know, TriMet's a business and
It is. Yeah. And
and it's not so like Smart, Cat, all of these other transits, those are not businesses.
those are
Those are
local municipal kind of organizations. Yeah.
exactly. So why is it the taxpayers have to bail out business?
Yeah. Well, and also, it's known up here that TriMet ridership's been down. It's been below the 2019 levels for a long time. They've really
Correct.
struggled with ridership. And I attribute that to public safety is like a huge thing and cleanliness and all that stuff. But they also, like you're saying, it is like, some people might call it quasi-private, but it is basically a private company.
Yep.
They also get a lot of federal funding. And I see the whole, including the ODOT stuff you're mentioning, as like this kind of state and metro effort to basically get people out of their cars.
Correct.
And a lot of people don't want to do that. It's
Right.
just surprising that they just push this agenda to people.
Right. Well, and then you have Metro and ODOT getting ready to push taking 82nd Avenue
Hmm.
down to 2 lanes,
Yeah.
you
Now,
know?
now that it's in, they turned it over to the city, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And now, you know, it's a nice 4 lane road from Portland all the way out to 205 just past Clackamas. And now they're going to take away 1 lane on each side just for transit. And it's like I have real issues with that because people like you have paid for that. People
Hmm.
like me have paid for that. We own that lane. And the state, ODOT, whoever is giving that authority to transit to say, hey, you have your own special lane. I don't think that's right. And I believe there's a lot of people who've made those financial investments and our current elected think they can just take it away.
Yeah. It also reminds me of some of the EV stuff. I don't know if that's in the current bill, but there's also, a push to kind of get people into EVs. And I know there's a lot of, it just seems very kind of nepotistic and,
Right. What I've seen on the current, as I call it, ODOT bailout, is it's actually not very friendly toward EV. They're
okay,
going
okay.
there's a per mileage increase that is supposed to affect EVs.
So they're paying a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Finally,
Yeah.
but the one thing that is missing is, you know, especially Portland, a lot of the bigger cities, they have all these bike lanes, and I don't see the bikes putting into any
Yeah.
of this. So
Yeah.
the EVs starting to put some more money in, I think that's a good thing. But there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. They've had a free pass for a long time.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to ask about was, could you explain to people the whole, what we were talking about before we recorded about like, um, some of this money, or there's kind of a free ability to affect the gas tax in this new bill, right? Like,
Correct.
that's unconstitutional.
Correct. So basically, in this, the governor has made it. So let me rewind. For the past 3, 4 years, in our state constitution, it states that trucking and private vehicles must pay equal proportion of taxes to the state. So for the past 3 or 4 years, it has not been equal.
Okay.
The big trucking industry has been paying more, and quite a bit more. And so one of the biggest groups in our state is the Oregon Trucking Association. And it's a really pretty name, but it's basically it's a union. And so there have been threats that they're wanting to sue the state over this constitutionality of who's getting taxed the most. And so the governor has basically gone and said, if this ODOT bailout passes, that the next time it's time to raise the fuel tax, the Oregon Trucking Association will have that authority,
Mm-hmm.
which takes the authority away from our state elected, which the
Put,
people choose.
yeah. Puts
And
it in the hands of a lobby or a union, which is
exactly
crazy.
right.
Yeah.
And so if this does pass, basically, and the reason why I hate things like this in bills is because basically we're suing ourselves.
Mm.
We're going to be suing the state. The state's using our tax dollars to come back at counter, and it's a no-win situation. I mean, yes, we may win. We may take, if it does pass and OTTA gets that authority, we may be able to take it away. But at the end of the day, how many millions of dollars are going to be spent? And us paying their lawyers, us paying our lawyers,
Right.
and it's a no-win situation. Small government, we do everything we can to stay out of court.
Yeah.
And it's because nobody wins in court. And so,
And that's
yeah,
why a lot of times governments settle because it takes forever, the court costs and all that stuff
right.
takes.
In our current state government, they don't. They have a new attorney general that's trying to make a name for himself.
Yeah.
He hasn't been around for, he's first term, just elected. And, every chance he gets, it's, they're suing the federal government for
Right.
this,
Right.
they're suing this for that. And it's like, you know, we have such a issue in our state with money right now when it comes to ODOT, homeless issues, drug
Mm-hmm.
addiction, resources. But yet it seems like our attorney general has an open-ended check just to go after everything and anything. And I think sometimes he needs to just take a step down and let some other states go do some of the battles and maybe join and help, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't need to lead you don't have to lead the race to win it.
Sure. Yeah. Especially when it's affecting the state's bottom line that much. And
Exactly.
yeah, and I've heard a lot of criticism from Dan Rayfield too about just not addressing some of the criminal issues in the state, which he could be focusing on. But
Right.
the other thing I was going to ask about is that why you were saying that should be put to a referendum, or what was the thing you were saying with the referendum?
So if this does pass, I believe this needs, I personally think any increase in taxes over a certain amount, and I don't know what that amount should be, but it needs to come to the voters,
Yeah.
because you can't always depend on who we have elected in Salem if they're going to represent us, because after we vote for them and they walk away and they get down there, they have a lot of people in their ear. They have a lot of persuasion coming their way. And so to me, taxes need to come back to the voters. And so if this does pass, there is a group that will be getting together to force this to referendum and get it on the ballot in front of the people.
Yeah.
But we're mainly it's a parachute that we don't want to have to use.
I see. Okay.
It's an expensive parachute, and to pay for an election to get a
It's
ballot in
expensive.
front of people
Yeah.
is expensive. And
Yeah.
when I say pay for an election, we're not buying the votes.
No.
We're paying for the ballot to get to
Signature
the people
collection and- yeah.
to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 300,000 signatures that we would need. We all, as publicly elected, especially small jurisdictions like I am, we all have day jobs. It's not just We sit in our office all day and, the big sign at the front of the desk that says
Yeah,
mayor,
yeah, yeah.
we don't get paid for what we do.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And it's funny because, I've been posting a lot about how the new city council here, they all make like 130 grand.
Yep.
And it is very different when you get out of Portland. It's like people don't get paid that much generally.
Nope.
So you kind of have to have another job and like work in the community, which is a good thing, I think, to a degree, but it makes it challenging, of course.
Correct.
But yeah, I think that's a good idea. And just given the amount of opposition, it seems like even the first time around with the ODOT bill, there was a ton of opposition. And this time it also seems like there's a ton. So
Right.
just given the fact that there's that much outcry, if it does pass, it seems like that would be a good way to kind of have the public weigh in.
Correct. And if it does pass, one of the biggest things, the message that we need to be getting to our elected is we have an election next year. We have a very big election.
Right,
It's
right.
for our governor, it's for state reps, it's for senators. We need to remind them who they work for.
Yeah,
And like I said, maybe one of your viewers is all for this ODOT, but maybe their state rep or their senator is against it. So, we are the people that it states we the people, and that's where it starts, and it works its way up to form our government. And so if our representation is not representing us, the best way we can show it is during elections
yeah,
but we the people have to show up to the election.
right.
Nobody's going to fix our problems for us. We have to stand up and start fighting. And because that's been the mentality for probably the last 20, 30 years is, oh, Joe down the street, he's involved. He'll fix it,
Mm,
or someone else will fix it. No, we all have to get involved. We have to start working together to solve problems, not expecting someone else to bail us out.
for sure, yeah. No, it does seem kind of like, and I don't know, maybe this is just me, but even with the first round of trying to get the bill through and that failing in this one, it just seems like it's a different, I don't know if it's a turning of the tide, but it just seems like there's a lot of unhappiness with the state legislature that I haven't really seen in a long time. Uh, because they have the super majority with Democrats, and it just seems like normally they'll just easily have stuff go through, but they don't have this level of opposition that we see with this. And
Right,
people are just real tired of, I think, ODOT specifically.
right.
Um, One of the things I was going to mention earlier, and I'm not trying to put this woman on blast, but I saw on the first day of testimony, one of the only pro bill people I saw was like an ODOT employee who was like doing social media, and she was saying how, maybe I'll clip it in here, but she was saying how, I get to fly drones around and capture footage.
Hi, my name is Julie Murray. I'm a drone pilot and video content producer for ODOT. It's become more important with the demands of social media. I'm most proud of my video and drone work on the Mitchell Point Tunnel. From rock coring to tunnel blasting and finally the ribbon cutting, that was me. ODOT has invested heavily in me. The agency has put me through drone school, FEMA training, photography workshops.
And I'm sitting there thinking, what the hell does this have to do with
Right,
infrastructure and maintenance? And
right,
is this their best example of like what this money's going to go? Because that just seemed really silly to me.
right. Well, and being in the position I'm in and what I've learned, I especially this year, I've really been watching what I see out there with ODOT,
Yeah.
and for, one of the best examples I can give on just waste and damage, earlier, a few months ago, Highway 224 through the Carver curves. ODOT's out there and they have this brusher head where they're clearing brush along the highway,
Hmm.
which is great. I mean, it's a good service. They got power lines along there. It's a narrow highway.
Like
Excellent.
fire prevention or yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The problem is they have 4 people out there. There's 2 people in each truck, and they have this bar that's automated. I know this system, that tells traffic to go and stop,
Mm,
but you have 2 people in each truck. Number 2, this brusher head is attached to a 135 size excavator.
okay.
This excavator is metal tracked, and they're running these metal tracks up and down a paved highway, asphalt highway, and it's 80 to 90 degrees outside.
So it says like sparking or something or
Sparking, and it also tears up the asphalt.
okay, okay.
So literally, if you drive from Carver, or excuse me, Barton area, and you're heading toward Carver, and I think it's probably considered northbound or westbound. When you're in that lane, if you look down, you see all these little white marks.
Mm.
It's tearing up the asphalt. And I'm in construction. If I was to, and I haul equipment, if I was to take a metal tracked excavator and run it down a paved street, most likely I would get fined and lose
Yeah.
my job. And here's ODOT,
They're literally damaging their own.
highway that they don't have money to repave. And so those are the things that I see, the waste,
Yeah.
you know. ODOT did come in and they put this walkway in our city a few years back. And about 8 months after it was done, I had to call them, and I brought out all their head people. And I will say I always have a method to my madness. The day they came out for us to do this walk and do this inspection, I think I picked the hottest day of the year. It was like 90 some degrees outside, and we met at one end and we walked the entire thing. So they're out there sweating. And one of the sections we got to in this walkway, first off, our city does not, it's not in our code for asphalt walkways.
Okay.
Our code says concrete sidewalks.
Okay.
They put in this walkway. Well, it's their highway. They can do what they want, but this thing it matches nothing in our city. And so, but there's this one section we get to, and there's a rain drain, and we get to it. And I said, I asked the head ODOT official, I said, hey, didn't your inspectors come and do a final approval before you let the contractor leave? And he goes, well, yeah. And I said, okay, so answer me this question. How is this rain drain effective when it sits 2.5 inches above the walkway? And he's like, excuse me? And I said, well, look,
You can see like a lip or
the lip for the rain drain sits above the walkway. And then if you look around it, just on the other side of it is somebody's property.
Mm.
And you see where the water
Just like
from when it was
runoff.
raining, it looked like runoff went right through it,
Wow.
which is illegal.
Because they're damaging their property at that point. Yeah.
Bingo. Very illegal. They could, those people could sue ODOT.
Yeah.
But this is the quality of work they put out.
Hmm.
And that's one of the reasons why I asked ODOT. I said, let the city take this over. Give us X amount of dollars. We will get it done cheaper than you guys will. And
Which, to me, that makes sense. Yeah.
exactly.
It's not the bloated kind of state route.
Exactly. We don't have anybody in ODOT that is looking for the best deal. Let's get 3 bids, move on.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of projects ODOT does themselves. Okay. Are they out price shopping their rock products? Are they out price shopping where they can dump dirt? I mean, in just in their Clackamas County area, if the construction company I work for has a project where we need to remove a lot of dirt, I'm putting out a post. Hey, does anybody need dirt on their farmland?
Yeah.
Are they looking to build up their beds? And a lot of times we find people that have gone through the county and got the permits, and we start hauling them all the dirt that we could, some dirt places we pay up to $14 a yard to dump, and so we're looking at over $150 one truckload. And when you have 100 loads of dirt, you got to get moved.
Sure.
There's a huge cost savings finding people that we just relocate the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
We're benefiting the consumer, we're benefiting the home that we're building and saving costs on that. But the state doesn't see that.
They don't have that kind of competitiveness or whatever. Yeah. Or
Exactly.
Exploration or
exactly.
Yeah. Do you have any like, you don't, and if you don't, it's fine. Do you have like a prediction of what would happen with this bill at this point?
It's up in the air.
Okay.
Like I said, we're preparing for the worst, hoping for the best. It's like I've told many people, this is political theater. We don't know what the script is, and when we think we know what's going on, a curveball comes out. So, of course, me and my constituents that I represent, the 10,300, were against it. There's associations that my city belongs to, foolishly are supporting it.
Sure.
And
I've seen the same thing. I grew up in Grants Pass, and I saw that with same thing. There was like one group that I can't remember if it was a council or something, but then like there was another group in the city that was against it. So I
Right.
feel like that's
Right. And so there's a lot of division here, but at the end of the day, it's still, we have to work with these people. There's
yeah
still relationships. And so, it may be a potato and potato, but at the end of the day, you always have to have a parachute, especially when it comes to government.
yeah. And I think that referendum's a good idea for sure. And I hope the supermajority listens to the testimony and all this written testimony and all that stuff because it does seem like it's in one direction from what
Right.
I've seen. Yeah, no, that's all. I was also going to ask, like, is there, because I don't know, and I follow city stuff here more than I do the state legislature, but
Mhm.
is there like a expiration of the special session? Can it just extend until?
I heard it was supposed to go, 6 to 8 days,
Okay,
but with
Th-
yesterday kind of being behind schedule, who knows?
it might.
It can go forever.
Okay,
There's a lot of people are misunderstood, when we've said, certain groups or parties shouldn't show up. People think, well, if they don't show up, then they can't run again because of those new rules that were brought in.
mm.
And that does not count for special session. It only counts for session.
Okay, okay,
So there's a lot of different rules and things that can happen differently than in session.
the special session has different.
Right. The
Uh,
governor's more in control of this.
okay, okay,
So it's not a fun thing. And like I said, if anybody doesn't think things are not being done intentionally, I mean, who in their right mind would schedule a special session the Friday of Labor Day weekend?
right,
I
yeah,
mean, right there alone.
yeah,
And yesterday they did not get a whole lot done. Well, funny, it was announced that there were going to be rallies at the Capitol yesterday and today. Well, today there's absolutely nothing going on. Yesterday there was the bare minimum,
mm,
and the people were there to show their support one way or another. You had the SEIU union there that supports ODOT. They were there in support of the measure. You had the public that was not in support of the bailout there, and they're not there listening to the people,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Like I can't remember if I said this before recording, but yeah, to me it just seems like it's an outright way to just stifle testimony and opinion and all that stuff, which
Right.
obviously makes the bill maybe easier to get through, but that's totally wrong to me to do
Correct.
that. Um, okay. Is there anything else you want to say ODOT wise before I just had other questions here?
Nah.
Okay. I know it's a lot going on. And,
Everybody needs to stay tuned. We're asking people to submit testimony during this process, and a lot of people have the misunderstanding that, hey, I submitted testimony the Monday before it all started.
right.
Each day is a new day. Each committee is a new committee. So if everybody would take whatever they're saying, good or bad, copy and paste it, and just every day resend it to whatever committee or whatever group it's going to, so that testimony is heard.
Yeah.
Um, don't let the games stifle our voices. Whether you, like I said, whether you're in support or not support,
Yeah.
we need to send a message to the Capitol. We are the ones in charge. We are the ones who vote them in. So
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest message I can get
I
out
think
right
it's
now.
yeah, no, I think it's important too because I same with any government, city or whatever. I think people feel like they did their testimony once and that's it, but they
Right.
have an opportunity every single time with these committees
Exactly.
to make their voice heard. And
At midnight, I heard that they were possibly having committee today. Midnight last night, I got home from a party, sat down, resubmitted testimony.
there you go.
So I have it on speed dial to do. It's in my cell phone. So if I'm at work, I can pull over, boom, 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 resubmit to whatever group it needs to go to.
For sure.
If somebody just types in it's OLIS, OLIS into Google, it'll come up. There's only one thing going on, and open it up and just click. It says submit testimony. Click, open that up, and you can submit it plain text, or you can submit a PDF letter.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's real simple.
I was just say I'll put the link in here. And yeah, it is like that, there's a variety of ways. Obviously you could be in person. That's, if you can't do that, you can submit just text, you can type up your stuff or
Exactly.
there's a lot of ways to do it. Okay. I was going to give me some just quick stuff about Molalla as a city. Like I'm curious just about the history or like anything you want to
So
say
as
about
far
it.
as Molalla goes, Molalla was a Indian reservation at one time. The Molalla tribe was pushed out to Grand Ron many years ago, where the final what's left of the tribe is still there.
Okay.
Chief Yelkus was the last known tribal chief of the Molalla tribe. And so, there's a lot of people there that, I'm lifelong Molalla resident. We're all immigrants there. Molalla is a very giving community. It's kind of like that family reunion. You don't know if it's going to be a family war or if it's going to be a real loving event, but Molalla people have a real compassion for each other. 2020, I was running for the mayor seat the first time, and we had the big fires that came through, and that was probably the most remarkable acts of kindness I have ever seen. When the fires were coming, our past governor, Kate Brown, said, "Sorry, not sending you anybody." To the point, my fellow mayor in Estacada, Mayor Drinkwine, she called him and said, "Tell your city to evacuate. It's going to burn."
Wow.
And so the people of Molalla got together. There's a lot of construction workers. Construction companies have equipment. They all got together, brought dozers in, they brought water trucks in, and they started making fire line.
That's amazing.
And literally the fire got within 4 miles of our city and the people stopped it. We had absolutely no federal firefighters on the job.
That's crazy. Yeah. So what do you, in that context, and when you hear that, it's just kind of like you just look to your local fire department and all this helping people, like you said.
Right. Our local fire department was up in the hills helping us as much as they could. It's kind of a conflict of interest for them, especially insurance wise, say, "Hey, we need help over here. Or we need, people to help us with this," because then they're committed by insurance
Yeah.
if someone was to get hurt.
Yeah.
So, it was very hard for them.
And something like that's more set up for, obviously, like you got a residential fire or something. That's kind of their.
Right. Well, our fire district is residential and rural.
Yeah.
But like I said, they were more set up, they had trucks, like small brush rigs up there, but they were more stationed in case that came through to try to help the city.
Sure.
Our city does not, the fire district and the city are two separate political entities. So they have their own tax base that they receive and run on their own. The city's kind of on its own.
Okay.
We kind of have a symbiotic relationship,
Sure.
we will help each other out. So I can't, and I wasn't even mayor at the time I was running. So I can't really speak on how it all worked. I can speak as somebody who was a volunteer, at the time, and seeing what was going on up there.
That's crazy though. Yeah, I never heard that. That's wild. To just for any community in Oregon to have a governor say that, it's just kind of like, well,
yeah,
sink or swim. Like, what do you? It's like what?
Exactly. Well, and she let some very good cities burn. I
Yeah.
mean, the city of Gates and Detroit. I mean, it was total annihilation for those cities. And the mayor of Detroit, friend of mine, Jim Trett, phenomenal human. I mean, he has almost rebuilt that entire city. I mean, homes are getting rebuilt, his infrastructure is getting rebuilt, and he is just chugging along, and he's got a lot of help with Marion County. Commissioner Danielle Bethel has been a huge support, and the other commissioners with Marion County and his state elected. But talk about, I mean, I could not imagine walking into my town, just getting elected, and seeing my entire city burned to the ground.
Yeah.
It would just be absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah. It's like, where do you start? Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But,
Sorry,
no, Molalla it's a small community. We're actually considered a medium-sized city. We're a population of 10,300. As far as our government goes, we try to do things outside of the box. We foster ingenuity when it comes to doing things. We don't ask for a lot of help.
Doesn't sound like you get much help anyway.
Yeah, we're kind of used to not getting it.
Yeah.
Currently, we are in a current rebuild of almost our entire infrastructure of our city. Um, Last August, we started a build of a brand new police station.
Okay.
It's been about a 12-year project of saving up money, buying land, and we got to the point where we only had to bond out. We put it out for bond for the people to vote for $16 million. The property we bought was all saved funds. Also used our urban renewal funds for part of it, which we're coming to find out we may not even end up having to use urban renewal because the construction project has been run so lean and so well by our general contractor.
Wow.
So
That's like unheard of in government. Yeah.
exactly. But that's the ingenuity we push for because, it's easy to screw up. It's hard to set an example. And the city staff and the council we always strive to set the example. It's hard for us to go and complain about what other agencies are doing and electeds are doing if we're doing the same damage.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and then earlier this year, we started our sewage treatment plant.
Okay.
We have a brand new sewage treatment plant coming in. It's actually green. It will not be using chlorine or vitamin C to treat the water, which I'm sure a lot of your viewers know the damage of chlorine and vitamin C to the environment and where it's manufactured. We'll be using ultraviolet light.
Oh, wow.
And so, and
That's
then we
cool.
have these huge storage ponds that were being used with the old system. Those will get changed from basically a fermentation pond to a holding pond.
That's really cool. Is the UV, is that like a newer trend that's going on?
Yes.
Yeah. That's really
Yes.
cool.
And
Because I'm
so,
sure even like, I don't know, I don't know much about that stuff, but it just seems like something like chlorine, it just seems like a better alternative to use light
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. And some of the ingenuity that our cities come up with in the past, for example, we have a huge farm. So our sewage treatment plant is at the west side of our city. And then we have a huge farm that's on the east side. It's called Coleman Ranch. And so back long before I ever came into the picture, they set up a pipe that goes from the sewage treatment plant to the Coleman farm. And once the water's treated to a safe level that DEQ set the standard to, when we have too much water, like during rainy seasons, because we can only put so much water back into the river during certain times of the season. So if we have too much, we have a pipe that sends it all the way to that ranch. And we have these big, huge sprinkler heads there that water that property.
That's cool. Yeah.
And so we don't get in trouble with DEQ for too much water going back into the river. So,
And you get to reuse that water. Yeah.
yeah. So, besides sewage treatment plant, we are also in the process of building a brand new park. It's phase 1 of the park. It's named Chief Yelkus Park in tribute to the past
The guy you
chief
mentioned. Yeah.
of our Molalla Indian tribe. And so that's going through, and it's got some Native American play structures, that were designed to be aesthetically appeasing to the tribe. They were involved in this. In fact, they came out for our groundbreaking for it. So we're really
cool.
proud of that. And then we're in the planning process. So for our drinking water facility, which back the big floods, early 2000s, we lost our water intake. We had a really good location for it. And so temporary was set up. It's not functioning as it should. So we're looking at getting our new water intake put in and then possibly adding a second water intake downstream. And then not only that, but replacing one of our oldest water silos. And I believe it's 1.5 million gallon water silo, and putting a brand new one in at 2 million.
These are the big water towers that you see?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
Correct. So at one side of town, we have these water intakes that pull water out of the Molalla River. Our treatment plant cleans it all, stores it in silos. It comes to all the people. And then, of course, the sewage, gray water goes to the other end of town, for the water treatment facility.
For sure. Yeah.
So once all of this is done, we will have pretty much our entire infrastructure set
Yeah.
up. And then what's in between is the pipe in the ground. And so we found a process that's being done. The pipe in our ground is really old. And most cities, they go in and they replace the pipe. We found a process. There's a company here locally in the Willamette Valley that goes in and they get into the pipe and they reline it.
Okay. Okay.
So basically the current pipe we have is just a frame, and they shoot this liner through it, which instead of now having to replace the pipe, we now get another 20 to 30 years of life out of existing pipe. You don't have to dig it up.
Right. Right.
They dig
It's a lot easier process. Yeah.
right. You dig up a small area just to access the pipe, and their machinery can get there.
So it gets in there and it fills in the lining and
Exactly.
that's really cool. Yeah, I know because in Portland here, I know a lot of the water mains are like from the 1900s or something. They do, like you're saying, they got to dig the whole thing up. But I've never heard of that. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
And so, yeah, we have a company that we've contracted with. It's Iron Horse, and they come out and they get that done. They get sections done at a time. And I want to say it's about a third of the cost of replacing pipe.
I bet. Yeah.
So
Just having the excavation and all that. Yeah, it's crazy.
correct.
But it really is like you're saying, like that's like almost all. That's like a good percentage of the whole city infrastructure that's going to be brand new. And
Correct.
yeah, that's really cool. And
Correct.
is that, I was going to mention your, I hope I'm saying this right, mayor leadership for the Oregon Mayor's Award. You won that. Was that why was a lot of this work you're doing, or?
Some of it. It was the Mayor's Leadership Award, and it's nicknamed the Mayor of the Year.
So you won there's only one of those. Is that right?
There's actually three.
Okay.
There's one for small city, medium city, and large city.
But you won the only medium city.
Correct.
Yeah. Wow.
Correct.
Wow.
In short, it's Mayor of the Year. It's the highest award a mayor in our state can get.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So when I came into being a mayor, I just didn't like how city was being represented. I thought I could do it better. And so when I came in, by trade, I drive a dump truck. I work for a construction company that goes in and digs out foundations for new housing, does infrastructure. We're currently working at the Clackamas County Fairgrounds on the new event pavilion. So I've had my fair share. And before that, I was in towing. I was actually a repossessor. And so I worked in Portland repossessing cars. So I've been around transportation pretty much my entire working career.
No, honestly, it's refreshing because, so many of the politicians and thing up here, they're just activists. Like a lot of them never had a real job.
Correct.
So I appreciate that a lot.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And so I thought I could do better. And so when I ran, I never really thought I'd win. It just kind of, and so when the election came, it was a close election, and I was running against the current council president of our city. Okay. So she's been elected. She's been in office for a while.
Kind of a career politician. Yeah.
No, she wasn't a career. She's mainly she had a nonprofit, and I believe before that she was retired from working in a bank. I believe.
Okay. But she'd done some terms on city council.
Right. Yeah. She'd been involved in committees with the city. She had a lot more experience than I did. And so, but I showed the public, hey, I'm one of you. I want to be your mouthpiece. I want to be your representative. During the fires, literally, I have a kind of a special phone mount for my phone. And I could literally set it on my dash, and the camera shot out so it could see through my windshield. I drove through town showing everybody their homes were not burnt down and what was going on in the community. And so it got me out there. I started doing a lot of live streams on Facebook. I have two pages. I have my personal, I have my mayor's. I usually cross and share everything on both if anybody wants to watch. But doing live streams, letting people know, hey, these events are going on. This church is having their rummage sale, and this committee's meeting later this week, and doing a lot of that. And so won the first election. And probably one of the worst things I did running the first time is I said I wanted to get rid of our city manager. And as far as city governments go, this doesn't include, well, I guess Portland has one now, but it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Um,
And they're going through a whole like this. The guy's leaving now, and they're trying to hire a new one. It's a
right,
highly paid position, but it is new to the city. But
right.
yeah,
But as far as smaller cities go, basically the city council and the mayor, we vote in the new laws and rules. We set the goals on where we want city staff to go. We have 3 employees. We have the judge, the municipal judge, the city lawyer, and the city manager.
okay,
And so the city manager is somebody who is college educated on civil government that can come in. They know how to run sewage treatment plants. They know how to do uh, drinking water facilities. They know how to lead police departments. All of those entities, public works, all of those entities that are in a city, they know how to lead those groups. And so really the city manager is a lot more important than me.
Mm.
But most city managers, they put their council and their mayors out in front. They don't want the
right.
public spotlight.
I was just thinking, yeah, you guys are doing the engagement piece, like you were
Correct.
saying, even when you were making those videos and stuff for people, that's a way for the public to engage with you, and
Exactly.
you're in most cases probably much more approachable than a city manager would be,
Exactly.
So
Even though ours is very approachable, he's got an open book if anybody wants to come in and talk to him. So I made the comment I wanted to get rid of him. I wanted to fire him. And so,
this is early on.
right, I made this statement when I was running for mayor of my first term. And so once I won the election, um, of course, I had to go into City Hall and get some training and meet everybody.
Yeah.
And so he asked if I'd come into a conference room with him that was uh, kind of in a good area in the City Hall that not many offices or people could hear the conversation. And him and I had our first meeting. I won't describe how that meeting was, but we walked out of it making a deal. If I saw him doing something wrong, I would come to him and talk to him. And if I gave him that respect, he and his staff would make me into the best mayor could be. And since then, I probably spent the first 6 months just eyeballing and watching every single move. Never saw a thing. And since day one, they have done everything they can to educate me at my level. I'm not a college graduate. I don't have a political science degree. Most parents are glad that their kids graduate high school. Mine were glad that I was at the bottom of the GPA pool. Okay. I just got out of there.
Yeah.
And so he and his staff taught me at my level. They made sure that it was in layman's terms. They've taken the time to listen to all my crazy ideas, which 99% of them is, Mr. Mayor, we can't do that. It would be illegal. It'd be a conflict of interest. It'd be going against state ethics. It's like, all right. So I go back and think of more ideas, and some of my ideas they've liked, and they said, let's do it. So this nomination that I got came from my city manager.
Oh, wow.
And some of the points that he made on it were, of course, my willingness to learn, my willingness for community engagement. It doesn't necessarily say it, but you can kind of read it. My willingness to be a punching bag. Because before our council, the city manager was not looked on well by the voters. They had all sorts of nicknames for him. Well, learning about this position is learning that they only do what we tell them to do as a council.
Right.
We go in and we goal set. We go in and we vote on laws and rules and ordinances. They're enforcing them. So
they're looking for you you and the council for guidance.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so if the people have an issue with what they're doing, it's not you have an issue with city staff or the city manager. You have an issue with council. You need to get with council and talk with them and get them to change what's going on. And so I have taken that, my council's taken that burden so that staff is seen much more positively in the community. I have not been afraid. I'm very active on Facebook. I have not been, when rumors and lies and all the negativity come up, I have been front and center, to the point where I'll even make jokes about it. I make shirts about it. Everybody always has a complaint about something.
Yeah.
It's, there's too many homeless in our city. And it's like, no, we have very few homeless. Go travel to the north of us, go travel to the south of us, to the
Yeah.
larger cities. You'll see what homeless is. The 2 or 3 people that frequent our city, it's not that
For
bad.
sure. Yeah.
And so literally I've made jokes. And so, one of the biggest ones I've done is when somebody's on Facebook complaining about something, it'll go on forever. And so I came up with this line, and I'll just throw it up there, and it's probably the mayor's fault. And so when I see this negativity, I just throw that up there. Guess what? It stops. People
Yeah.
start
No,
laughing.
I like it. It's a little what do you call it? Self-deprecating, that kind of
Exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, I mean, under this shirt, I actually am wearing
You
the
got
t-shirt. I'm going to be
it.
at a public event today. And so I wanted to make sure I have it. And so literally it's finding ways of thinking outside the box to solve the problem. And one of the biggest problems we have in our city is just sometimes the negativity,
Yeah.
trying to keep people positive, because if they're positive, they're doing something good. If they're in negative, they're not thinking of those good ideas. And so, yeah, if I got to beat on myself a little bit just to get a positive reaction and to change the mood, I'm going to do it.
I like that. Yeah, it's because you're also like making those people feel heard, and I talk a lot on here about people. I wish people would, it's one of the reasons I do the show is to understand local governments more, because people a
Exactly.
lot of times just go to the mayor and just complain,
Right.
and it's one way to be heard. But if you really understand the granularity of how it works, you really should be going to your counselor or
Right.
whoever's directly in your district.
Right.
But I get it. Like, you become the punching bag for
Exactly.
every single issue, and to
Right.
some degree I guess that makes sense, but I like how you turn that into something kind of positive. And
And as city electeds, we're educators.
yeah.
And that's probably the biggest title we could take, because, for example, I'm at a venue last night. It's a birthday party, and the owner of the venue has been dealing with the city and getting permits and renovating. Well, most of his parking lot's gravel, some mowed grass, and someone comes up and says, Mayor, when are you going to help so-and-so get this paved? The city's just, and I'm like, hey, part of the education process is that's in the city process.
Mhm.
Those rules and laws are set. My city manager and his staff, they take care of that. I don't get involved in that.
Right.
Unless there's a need for policy change or ordinance or resolution change, that's their world.
Mm-hmm.
City managers run the day-to-day operations of the city. The council does not get involved in that. The only way we get involved is if there's, a lack of judgment where we have to take some sort of disciplinary. Otherwise, it's his world.
Yeah.
And so that education on where we can be and where we don't go.
Right. It's like which levers you can actually pull and
Exactly.
make a change. Yeah.
Right. And if someone comes to me, the city staff's not perfect. If someone comes to me and says, hey, this, and this is going on, I may take the initiative and call and say, hey, so-and-so got a hold of me about this, and this. And, just want to make sure it's still on your guys' radar, because our city staff, we have them running at high gear all the time.
Right.
Besides all the infrastructure we're working on our UGB process, which is it's like a 12-round boxing match with our governor. But, so between,
there's not a lot of capacity there. Yeah. Is that what
right.
Yeah.
We're running out of land to be annexed into the city.
Okay.
And so, that's a huge battle with us right now. Plus all the infrastructure construction projects going on. Plus, there was some controversy with one of our counselors that finally resigned. So we had to bring a new counselor in. It's also, I have an association. We have an electeds association. Our city manager has his association. City recorders have theirs. Public Works, utilities, they have theirs. It's our conference seasons. This is where everybody, I don't think conference is a good term because it's really educational. We're going and discussing things that other cities are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is just this, we're busy, and we're not some of the bigger cities, and we don't just go and hire people frivolously.
Yeah.
For us to hire somebody at our level, it's like a 2 or 3 year process. It's budgeting now so that if there was a budget shortfall years down the road, we have some excess to keep that person.
Sure. Yeah.
Everything we plan for it has to be sustainable.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so it fits into that kind of lean model that you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are cities to the south of us. I was at a conference a few years ago with the Mayor's Association, and the mayor came and he's talking about the AARPA funds that, all the cities got. And he brought up he had bought, was it 300 micro homes to help the homeless. And and I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. He got a good deal on it. But then in his next breath, he goes, but it's only got about 6 months left because the city doesn't have the money to keep it going.
Mm. Operationally.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I just went, really? And so I had to raise my hand, and I'll call people out on dumb things. And I said, why are you amongst your colleagues in the state bragging about a project that you don't have the funding for?
Yeah. There's basically no lifespan to it.
Exactly. You just spent I can't remember how much on 300 micro homes. That is one-time funding. And you're here bragging about it, but then yet saying it's not sustainable in your city. I would probably be at home looking for funding instead of being here bragging
Right.
that you did this.
Scoring some political points. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
As a city, we took our ARPA funds and we put it toward things the city needed that were one-time fees. We were one of the few cities in the state. Every one of our police officers had body cameras. Huge investment, but well worth it.
Mm-hmm.
We bought a new street sweeper. We bought a new backhoe. The library, we bought them a bookmobile.
They're
and
long-term investments.
exactly,
Yeah.
with high return.
Mm-hmm.
The library being able to go out. We have one of the biggest library districts in Clackamas County.
Wow.
And we have one of the smallest budgets. Libraries like Lake Oswego and other bigger population city, but smaller
Sure, the
footprint.
budget's crazy.
Yeah, they get bigger money than we do.
Yeah.
But that bookmobile gets huge credit because it can go to the smaller cities that don't have governments like Colton, Molino, and they can open the doors and people can check out books from it. And so it's gotten a huge return from that. And we're able to take that and show the county that we do use our money very, very well.
That's awesome. Yeah. I was going to get into some of these questions, but I was thinking, like, is there anything, because you're Clackamas County, right?
Correct.
Is there anything you want to say about how it's going? Are you happy with the county and everything right now? And if not, it's fine.
No,
curious.
you're good.
Ben West is a friend of mine. I've had him on here and stuff, and
yeah,
I talked to him about, but I just, it's like peripherally to me because I'm in Multnomah. So.
Right. It's hard. The best way I could describe it is going to a restaurant. Sometimes your mom makes it better than the restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense,
Sometimes I think there's things I could do at the county. I could do it a lot better.
Yeah. Well, I know they have this sort of urban-rural divide, and they're trying to cater to both, and maybe they're trying to cater more to the urban. I don't
Correct.
know. Yeah.
It has been more urban. I do have hope for that change. Like we just got done with our conference with them this year.
Okay.
And there was we made a big push for the urban to recognize the rural. And so there have been the appointment of Commissioner Helm. She was a mayor in a rural city.
Okay.
And so, she took the initiative to come out and meet me at my place, my time, and to ask what was going on, and has made a commitment to make sure that we're at the table on certain issues. There have been some issues that the state has put down to the county. I think it was 21 or 22 that the legislature passed a bill called the pilot program. It's pay in lieu of taxes.
Hmm.
So basically what happens is if somebody comes,
That's the acronym. Pay and
right,
okay.
pilot, pay in lieu of
Yeah.
taxes. And so what happens is so for example, Molalla had a developer come in, they're developing low cost apartments for low income people. And it goes on a percentage of how much they make. Well, they can apply for this pilot program and they apply through it with the county. And what happens is the county comes in and does a tax appraisal, and that locks in that tax appraisal for 20 years.
Wow. It's a long
It
time.
doesn't go up.
Yeah.
That property investor, that property owner, now writes a check for those taxes to the county. The county distributes it. And originally, when we found out, the county was distributing it whoever they wanted. So when we did the research, we figured out that in our case, it was $25,000 that was leaving our city. It was going to the county. The county was getting ready to send it to Westland Wilsonville School District, Lake Oswego School District, and North Clackamas. Well, hey,
pretty backwards, yeah.
right. It's like, hey, whoa, time out. Those are metro cities. We're not metro.
Yeah, you're taking your money and sending it there.
Exactly. And we're talking, I mean, Westland Wilsonville School District is one of the most financially beneficial school districts in the entire state.
Yeah.
Why? Where this money wasn't going is to pay for police services. It wasn't going to pay for the bond that the school district just got approved for the new school in our city. You have a fire district bond. We have a police bond. There was a lot of places this money wasn't going. You know, and in these low income apartments, if you look at the statistics, they always have a higher ratio of calls for police services, fire services, and yet they're not going to have to pay it. And so we went to the county and we said, hey, what's going on here? We want our money. So we signed, they signed an IGA, an intergovernmental agreement with us to give us that $25,000 back. And I said, great. That's phase one of the issue. The second issue is you have a tax lock on these people. You authorized it. In any city, the city council is the taxing authority. They took the rights out of the city council's hands. And this is something that we wouldn't approve because this one complex in particular, they're saying, you know, we're helping low income people. Well, they're getting tax credits from the state. They're getting vouchers from the state. So there's a money match, right?
Yeah.
And now they're getting, so they're not losing money. Now they're getting a break on their taxes. Now they're profiting more. And that's one thing I'm adamant against. If you want to help the homeless situation, go be kind and help. Don't profit from it.
Right.
Everybody homeless is a business and it's big business for this state and it needs to stop.
For sure, yeah.
And so this battle, you know, yes, they're writing us a check every year now, but the bigger picture is they took our taxing authority. And so, like I explained to Commissioner Helm, I said, this is something that needs to be addressed. And I said, because what's going to come of this is it's not unfortunately the city of Molalla against Clackamas County. This issue is going to be every city in the county against the county because this could affect every city. And I said, better yet, this could be every city in the state against their county. I said, the state legislature had too much overreach in this. And, you know, the commissioners didn't see it coming. They thought it was a great thing and, you know, it would help. And they're very much into services and resources. The big picture wasn't explained to them, you know, and things have to be explained to us. We have staff. Well, it wasn't explained well to them. So I don't hold it against the commissioners. But there's going to come a time we need to get this stuff figured out. So the advocacy that I've had at the state, the county level has sparked rumors and thoughts because I do term out in 3 years. I can't run again for mayor.
Okay.
And so the step up to the county level is definitely being considered. And so we here in a couple of years, we might be starting a new campaign.
Well, that'd be cool. I mean,
Yeah.
get some kind of representation for those
rural.
kind of cities. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the goal.
for sure. Cool. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to mention before I get into these goofy questions? Is there anything else on your mind or
No,
cool? Okay. Do you like Doritos? Do you have
absolutely.
a favorite Dorito flavor?
Uh,
Everyone says Cool Ranch, but
Sweet chili,
is that the green?
purple.
The purple one's pretty good.
The green's verde, like a verde, but yeah,
I
no,
like the green and purple for sure.
yeah,
Those are
no,
good.
sweet chili.
I'm glad that you say that too, because like I said, almost it's like 90% of people say Cool Ranch, and I'm like, it's good,
It's
but I
the,
want to hear something
it's
different.
the easy one.
Yeah. Do you like crunchy or smooth peanut butter? Maybe you don't like peanut butter.
I am a crunchy guy.
Okay. Do you like the stir, no stir, the oil or no oil kind?
It gets eaten before it goes to the oil.
Okay. I've never heard that. That's great. I like the just Jif, no oil, but do you have a favorite fast food like brand or anything?
uh, well, I'm a large guy, and
I don't
I'm
think
not.
you're that
I'm
large.
I'm not that. I'm not that picky. I like all food.
Okay.
If I had to pick burgers, I would probably shoot. It wouldn't even be burgers. It'd be
Well, I always talk about Taco Bell. I love Taco Bell.
that is my last choice. That's council gets over with at 9 o'clock at night, and it's the only thing open in our city.
Okay.
So, I'm actually a street Mexican guy.
Okay. Get some
Street tacos,
yeah.
burritos. That would probably be my first choice.
You got some good carts in Molalla or like
Yeah,
places for that?
we have two. Well, we have two carts, and then we have one sit down. We have one sit down in Molalla, and then right out Milano, we have another one.
Nice.
But I grew up in this area, so one of your neighborhood places is actually one of my first favorites.
Okay.
Don Pedro's,
For sure. Yeah.
excellent
Some
place.
tacos.
Yep.
I've been asking this one's kind of newer one. Is there like a pet peeve that just drives you crazy, like something stupid?
Hypocrisy.
Okay.
The governor's hypocrisy.
Well, what about like a granular or like I don't know, I'm just thinking like traffic or something. It's something that just like the last person I had was saying like when people like suck their teeth after they eat or something. Or I always say like people get bugged because I wear socks when I sleep. That's someone else's pet peeve, but is there something like dumb like that?
Just really it's nothing that small. Just it's more the hypocrisy.
Okay, that's
It's they want one thing and they do everything the opposite.
yeah.
Makes me crazy.
Is there an animal or creature you're most afraid of?
My wife. I'm just kidding. Love my wife. Snakes, rats.
Okay.
Can't stand them.
Really?
Yeah. I will scream like a girl.
I put this on here because I told this the other episode, but I woke up and I saw one of the hugest spiders I've ever seen, and I'm not that scared of them, but it just made me think of that question.
Yeah. No, snakes and rats.
Okay. Do you have a favorite type of French fry? Do you like crinkle cut, regular cut, curly fry?
Steak cuts, Cajun seasoned.
That's pretty good. Do you like sushi?
Absolutely.
This is a brand new question I've never asked. I'm trying to ask it more. Do you have a favorite type of sushi roll?
As far as a roll goes, it would have to be
Or just anything. I guess it could be
spicy California.
Okay. I like that. I always love the unagi eel. That's one of my favorites.
Eel's good.
Yeah.
Salmon, if it was just a fish, it would be like a salmon
Salmon roll or something.
or just salmon sushi.
Okay. Do you believe in alien Bigfoots or ghosts? Bigfoots? I didn't say that right, but I one of the reasons I asked this because I went to the Bigfoot Museum. I had the guy that owns that thing out on here. But do you believe in any of those?
It's funny you ask. Our city mascot's Bigfoot.
Okay. Do you guys have a Bigfoot out there?
It's like if you see window art at City Hall, some of our
So,
logos and stuff,
graphics.
it has Bigfoot.
I had no idea. I'll put the logo on here.
And
Yeah.
so I actually the nonprofit that I started a few years back, we went and bought a Bigfoot costume.
Nice.
And I actually wear it. I'll put it on and walk up and down Main Street. I'll go to
Okay.
public events and I wear it.
I'm guessing there's photos and video. I'll put some stuff on here.
Oh yeah. If you go through my Facebook profile, you'll see pictures of it.
Okay.
But so his name's Daryl.
That's the thing.
The city's, we've named him Daryl. And so Daryl lives on my couch. That's the story. So you can't do that without saying you don't believe in Bigfoot.
That's awesome. I love that. Is that that's got to be the only like, one in Oregon that's like an official mascot of?
It's not really official. It's just the city and staff and all the groups kind of adopted it.
Okay.
So
Well,
I'm
that's
probably one of the only mayors that actually has a life-size Daryl costume. Then the mayor actually wears it and walks through town and has fun with it.
I like it. We kind of did this a little bit, but I always give people a chance. It doesn't have to be a restaurant, but is there like a restaurant or a local business you want to shout out that you had a good experience at recently? Or?
Absolutely. In my city?
Yeah, I prefer. I mean, it could be anywhere, but
In my city, one of my favorites, it's my go-to, is Fire Foods.
okay.
It's a American Asian fusion.
Mm.
They do everything from the like pad thai noodles, garlic shrimp, to smash burgers.
Oh man, sounds
They do
awesome.
some bratwurst. They do the gyoza and pot stickers, and they actually make their own hot sauce there. They call it fire sauce,
Mm.
and it is one of my favorite things. No one would have ever thought to dip gyoza into it, and so even the owners are doing that, and the managers that run the place. But neat family-owned group. There was a big food event here in Portland last weekend that they had a booth set up
Okay.
at.
Okay.
But neat family group. Mostly everybody working there is related, and so yeah, they're kind of my go-to. We have a lot of family-owned restaurants, from Humble Pig to Bear Creek Pizza to
Mm.
Fire Foods, and then we have a lot of bars that specialize in certain things. White Horse. Last night we were at Molalla River Brewing.
Mm.
The owner's birthday was last night, so that's kind of Molalla River Brewing's kind of our living room to the community. It's a
Okay.
small brew pub area, and then it has a big outdoor seating area with miniature golf going through it,
Oh, that's cool.
and lots of outdoor seating and covered with heaters. Later today, I'll be there watching the Ducks game. Go Ducks! First
Nice.
game of the season.
Is it really? I had no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, they're
I'll try
playing.
to check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're playing Montana today. So no, it's just, and it's a family business. And it's a family venue. So last night, huge birthday party. You got a tap room there, and you got people with kids and playing golf and throwing the frisbee, and just a really neat place to go to. So we're really blessed with a lot of good food in our community, to a lot of great business owners.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's a great kind of list of places there. Yeah, check them out. Shout out to them. Um, yeah, yeah. Thanks for doing this, Scott. Is there any what's the best place for you to reach you? Just the website and reach out to you or whatever
You,
if they need.
you can email
Facebook.
me at skaiser@cityofmalala.com. I'm actually very, very public. My cell phone number, 503-547-7986.
There you
You
go.
want to text me? I'm also on Facebook. Was it Mayor Scott Kaiser? I also have Scott Kaiser. You can hit me on Messenger or comment and see what I'm doing on there. In fact, I'll be going live here later today to talk about the transportation package and get people updated on that.
Nice.
So
Well, there you go. There's a bunch of ways to reach out, and yeah, thanks so much for doing this, Scott.
Appreciate you.
You're always welcome back. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.